In the name of Deputy Tommy Broughan, 30 seconds to introduce your question.
Thanks, Lascan. Well, Minister, I'm basically just asking for an update on the situation since our debate here 3 weeks ago or so, and in particular, what preparations have been made so far in relation to the appeal. I think you mentioned a 2-month period in your question and answer response that night. What's happened in relation to the revenue collecting the actual 13 billion plus from Apple in relation to the escrow account and the likely cost, of course, of the appeal, and whether you're still worried that there will be further similar judgments against companies based in Ireland in the future. Thanks, Con.
On the 30th of August 2016, the European Commission issued a negative decision in the Apple state aid case. The Government profoundly disagrees with the Commission's analysis in the Apple case and will now challenge the decision before the European courts. Dáil Éireann has also passed a motion supporting the Government's decision to appeal the European Commission's decision. Ireland has a period of 2 months and 10 days to bring an appeal. The appeal process may take several years. Apple also has indicated that it will exercise its right of appeal. An appeal to the European courts takes the form of an application to the General Court of the European Union asking it to annul the decision of the Commission. Ireland's position remains that the full amount of tax was paid in this case and that no state aid was provided. Ireland did not give favourable tax treatment to Apple. Ireland does not do deals with taxpayers. Notwithstanding the negative decision, no fine or penalty has been imposed on the state. The European Commission has stated that the decision does not call into question Ireland's general tax system or its corporation tax rate. No other companies are subject to this decision by the European Commission. On foot of the Commission decision, Ireland is required to recover up to 13 billion of alleged state aid from the company covering a 10-year period. Notwithstanding the right of appeal, Ireland is legally obliged to recover the alleged state aid from Apple in the interim. Given that this money may ultimately have to be returned to the company in the event of a successful appeal, the money can be held in an escrow until the case has concluded. The Commission has stated that the amount of unpaid taxes to be recovered by the Irish authorities would be reduced if other countries were to require Apple to pay more taxes on the profits recorded by Apple Sales International and Apple Operations Europe for this period. The amount of unpaid taxes to be recovered by the Irish authorities would also be reduced if the EU authorities were to require Apple to pay larger amounts of money to their US parent company for this period to finance research and development efforts. This illustrates the contradiction at the heart of the European Commission's decision. While requiring Ireland to recover the tax sums, the Commission is also acknowledging that the sums may in fact be taxable in other jurisdictions.
Deputy Broughan, 1 minute.
Lascan. Well, Minister, just ask you first of all, have you or your department had any contact with senior Apple executives since the decision and since the vote here, the 93 to whatever it was, 36 vote in this House? And in relation to the preparation of the case with the Attorney General, are you keeping an ongoing eye on the actual grounds? Is it just the key grounds about state aids that you've mentioned there, or is there a broader case there? And in relation to the cost, you say this will go on for several years. Well, obviously, ye and Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil made the decision, and Labour, I think, made the decision to proceed with this costly appeal. But what do you reckon that will be or in terms of cost to this country? Has the collection of the money started? Is the escrow account, is it actually in existence right now? How will it be treated as well in our national accounts, Minister? And have any of the countries who have a claim on this money, we heard some of the Spanish ministers talking about it, have they been in contact with you?
Thank you, Deputy Minister.
Well, first of all, the Attorney General, the Attorney General's office is preparing the grounds for the appeal and the detailed appeal papers and so on, and they're directed in this by the Attorney General herself. She has 2 months and 10 days, I think, since the date of the decision, and she's working expeditiously on it. I have no hard information yet on the collection of arrears, but it's the responsibility of the Revenue Commissioners to do so, and some contact has been made with the company, and so far there doesn't seem to be a barrier to the collection of the arrears. But the calculation of the arrears may be difficult because it goes from 2014 back to 2004. It's that 10-year period, even though the tax opinion on which the case was made initially commenced in 91. So it's a very peculiar kind of a judgment. The NTMA will look after the escrow, and how it will appear in the government accounts is a matter for discussion at the moment. So I'll keep you up to date, but that's the information I have at present.
Deputy Broughan.
Yeah, I understand you on Monday, or was it Monday last week, you met Pascal San-Amand, the director of the OECD Centre for Tax Policy and Administration. He apparently said, yeah, that much of this money could be, or the United States administration could be entitled, or the IRS in the United States. And just to ask you, in the forthcoming finance bill, will there be any more impacts from this ruling in relation to our progress on the BEPS? Or are you confident now that, and we've been talking about this a lot, Minister, as you know, at the Budget Committee, are you confident that loopholes that are being closed off fast enough to ensure that you have more wriggle room on the fiscal space? And I note that the Guardian newspaper reported on the 18th of September about an open letter sent to 28 leaders of the EU, and I just wondered if you got a copy of that from the US Business Roundtable Group, which reads like a veiled threat to the European Union and future US investment here, and where it refers to the judgment as a grievous self-inflicted wound for the European Union and its citizens. Is that something that you're aware of?
Thank you. Minister, 1 minute.
Well, first of all, Pascal San-Amand, who is the tax director of the OECD, who was in charge of the BEPS project, visits us regularly, and he was here last Monday. And he held a press conference and he was asked questions about the Apple decision. And he stated two things of importance. First, that in his view the arrears were due to the Exchequer in the United States. And secondly, that there was no threat from the Commission or anywhere else to Ireland's 12.5% rate, and that under law and under the European treaties we were absolutely entitled to maintain the 12.5% rate. The issue of it being due to the American Exchequer arises from the fact that Apple paid a very low amount of tax internationally. That's been recited several times. But Apple had a significant tax liability, as distinct from the tax they paid. And the tax liability turns into a payable tax when profits are repatriated to the United States under US law. So his view and the OECD view that the arrears are really due to the United States are that's where the economic activity took place. That's where the iPad and the iPhone were developed. That was the source of their profitability. And if they repatriated the United States, their liability for US tax would trigger into the actual payment of real tax.
Should I conclude? At 35%.